Good morning again, Thresholds, and good morning, Kankakee New Freedom Center, and all the members. Today, during Coffee Talk, I wanted to share a topic that is important um, to me, to everybody. I think it's called intimacy. Now, I'll preface this by saying, obviously, in our culture, in our world right now, it's hard to have intimacy. We're being told to social distance ourselves. But what people are really meaning by social distancing is more of physical distancing. We can still have healthy relationships with people. We can still connect with one another in different ways. We just don't have to have that physical contact that we're so used to. We're used to having hugs with people, handshakes, that kind of thing. And that's going to change most likely in the future. Our world is going to be different after this pandemic. But I do want to get into a model of intimacy. It's called the praises model. And the first time I heard about this was in a recovery center. I'll disclose that I went to a recovery and rehab center in New Orleans. It was called the New Orleans Institute. And it was in this model of intimacy was developed by the program director called Daniel Glazer. And he developed this model for understanding the levels of intimacy called the praises model. So this article will serve as an overview of the entire model, and please note that each of these levels applies to both intrapersonal and interpersonal intimacy. So to define the difference between that, I'll start out at the beginning. When a client or a member or whoever is struggling with mental health, the person who wrote this article, and Annie Higgins, she's a Master of Arts. She's got her degree in counseling. She's a licensed practical counselor. She said that she has never encountered a client who was not wrestling with some aspect of intimacy. So, her definition of intimacy, it means a deep knowledge which facilitates understanding and connectedness. So, in order to establish healthy intimacy with another person, which is defined as interpersonal intimacy, is absolutely vital to have a healthy level of self knowledge. And that's defined as intrapersonal intimacy. Intra meaning within. So, in other words, we have to know ourselves first. We have to have a good relationship with us before we can develop other intimacy with other people. And a lot of people have heard that, but we don't always practice it in our culture. Let's get into this. I'm going to break this recording up into two parts. I'm going to cover the first three or four parts of the praises model. Now, praises is it's an acronym for what each level is described as. So the first level of intimacy is called physical. Now, physical does not mean sexual or romantic. In this sense, they're talking about the ability to be alone without feeling lonely. This involves the ability of self-soothe when dealing with discomfort, to practice appropriate self-care, and to enjoy simply being rather than distracting from being alone. So that's a good point. We need to be comfortable with being ourselves and being alone. Let's see what else we have here. So then you get into the next part, which is called, get this to work. Sorry, I'm having a little computer glitch. Okay, here we go. The next part is called the R, recreational, which is balanced living. This involves composing a pleasure inventory of activities you can enjoy doing solo. It is helpful to include some activities that do not require spending money and some stretch activities that require you to step out of your comfort zone. So, what he's talking about here, he defines it as complete an anxiety scale, um, stepping out of your comfort zone and allowing some of that anxiety, like not extreme anxiety, but just between a 5 and 7 on the anxiety scale. You want a little bit of anxiety as you stress your activities to try something new. So that's the R. Then we move on to the A again, which is aesthetic. So you want to create an environment around you, whether at home and at work if possible, that stimulates positive sensory experiences. Decorate your living space in a way that is a positive representation of you. Let your home be your sanctuary. Aesthetic intimacy also includes an ongoing willingness to identify physical and personality traits of yourself that you can appreciate. So, for example, you might want to have some of your personal artwork on the walls, some well-known quotes that you are really fond of, some quotes, pictures of friends and family that you're fond of that give you a good feeling. Those are all part of the aesthetic part of the praises model. Um, I'm going to pause there and I'm going to start another part, video part 2 will be coming up next.